For Sheldon's worst TBD quality, young Sheldon has a depressing explanation. Hello everyone, my name is Alana. Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And give this video a like. Up a tragic tale for one of Sheldon's most unsightly characteristics will be found in young Sheldon Season 6 of CBS's The Big Bang Theory spinoff. Characters like Sheldon Cooper are simple to detest. Despite the fact that his lack of social skills frequently makes him seem more careless than he actually is, the Big Bang Theory hero may be egotistical and impolite. But aside from his regrettable lack of social skills, Sheldon has other very disagreeable traits that cannot be explained by his inability to pick up social graces. For instance, Georgie's animosity against Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory makes sense given that Sheldon first rejects his brother's position during their union. In a similar vein, Sheldon's ruthless dismissal of his siblings as mouth-breathing idiots goes beyond ignorance to pure cruelty, especially considering that young Sheldon has demonstrated Missy and Georgie's willingness to support Sheldon during his early and teenage years. One of Sheldon's most disagreeable traits, though, is his propensity to take all the credit for concepts and innovations. Thankfully, young Sheldon Season 6 provides a reasonable explanation that makes the character fault tragic as well as understandable. Related, The Big Bang Theory was wasted Missy, according to young Sheldon Season 6. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper is undoubtedly a credit hog, but young Sheldon shows that this isn't always the case. In young Sheldon Season 6, Dr. Linkletter, Sheldon's coworker, briefly dates Meemaw before successfully stealing Sheldon's grant database concept by starting to develop a rival proposal. In The Big Bang Theory Season 2, Episode 6, The Cooper-Nowitzki Theorem, Sheldon's adamant refusal to share credit can be explained by his natural paranoia about future ideas suffering the same fate. Since Linkletter betrays Sheldon's trust early in his academic career, it makes sense that the character will experience trust issues in the years that follow when it comes to working with others in the workplace. Sheldon's reputation as a credit hog is actually proof of the impact Linkletter's betrayal has on the character, not of his inflated feeling of self-importance or his oversized ego. Similar to how young Sheldon Season 6 foreshadows Missy's eventual destiny in The Big Bang Theory, the spinoff fills in this crucial gap in context, making Sheldon's biggest defect comprehensible. Fortunately for Sheldon, his incapacity to give credit does not ultimately cause his professional and personal lives to fall apart. Rather, there is a touching scene in the season finale of The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon not only receives his long-awaited Nobel Prize, but also dedicates his speech to praising and giving credit to his friends and family. It is difficult for the character to acknowledge, but Sheldon acknowledges that without the assistance of his friends, he could not have accomplished this enormous feat. Young Sheldon Season 6 explains why Sheldon was so slow to accomplish the same, even if his pals on The Big Bang Theory teach him to trust partners. Young Sheldon has a sad justification for Sheldon's worst TBD quality. You won't believe the heartbreaking truth. Everyone loves Sheldon Cooper, right? The quirky genius with an eccentric personality has won our hearts on The Big Bang Theory, TBDT, with his scientific brilliance and his unique social awkwardness. However, despite his intelligence, Sheldon has one glaring quality that drives viewers absolutely mad: his extreme lack of empathy and social skills. For many fans, Sheldon's inability to connect with others emotionally is one of his worst qualities. But wait, you won't believe the shocking backstory behind this flaw that's been revealed in young Sheldon, and trust us, it's a heartbreaking revelation you never saw coming. Sheldon's worst quality, his lack of empathy. Sheldon's cold and calculated approach to relationships is often one of the biggest irritants on The Big Bang Theory. Whether it's his inability to understand sarcasm, his total disregard for people's emotions, or his bluntness when delivering harsh truths, Sheldon's lack of empathy leaves a trail of destruction in his personal and professional life. Fans have often criticized this particular trait, wondering why Sheldon could be so rude and inconsiderate, even to those closest to him. How could someone with such an amazing mind be so completely out of touch with others' feelings? The sad truth behind Sheldon's worst quality. In a jaw-dropping twist, young Sheldon has unveiled a heartbreaking backstory that explains why Sheldon behaves the way he does. You won't believe what happened to Sheldon when he was just a kid that caused him to shut off emotionally. The triggering event. In Season 5 of Young Sheldon, the young Sheldon is shown struggling with something far more significant than simple childhood quirks. At a very young age, he witnesses the traumatic event that makes him question the people around him and the world itself. And it's at this moment that Sheldon begins to develop a deep emotional shield. As a child prodigy, Sheldon was constantly praised for his intellect, but his emotional development lagged far behind his cognitive abilities. He faced relentless bullying and mockery from his peers. But what truly caused his emotional walls to build up was his strained relationship with his family. While his parents loved him, they were unable to understand him, and as a result, Sheldon felt utterly isolated. He simply couldn't relate to the people around him, especially his emotionally driven twin sister, Missy. The turning point, the loss of trust. The true heartbreak comes when Sheldon's relationship with his father, George Cooper Sr., takes a tragic turn. For years, Sheldon was desperate for his father's approval, yet he felt rejected at every turn. George, a regular man without Sheldon's intellect, struggled to connect with his son, and the emotional distance grew over time. Then, a pivotal moment occurred. When Sheldon was just a teenager, his father made a careless comment that devastated him. It wasn't intended to hurt, but it did, and this seemingly small moment planted a seed of distrust in Sheldon's mind. After this, Sheldon decided that opening up to others was dangerous. He couldn't afford to let his guard down, because emotional pain was too much for him to handle. Instead of dealing with his feelings, he chose to retreat into his intellectual fortress, blocking out the world and focusing only on things he could Sheldon's control. Behavior in TBDT. Now, fast forward to the Big Bang Theory. Sheldon's complete inability to connect emotionally with those around him is explained by these painful childhood experiences. In fact, his over-the-top behavior towards people like Penny, Leonard, and even Amy can be traced back to his emotional shutdown. As Sheldon grew older, he leaned on his knowledge of science and logic as a way to keep the messy emotions at bay. His socially awkward quirks, they're a defense mechanism. His harsh bluntness, another way to keep people at arm's length, so he never has to experience the kind of emotional hurt that he felt as a child. Even his obsession with routine and control can be seen as a way of keeping his world predictable and safe. The heart-wrenching connection to Amy. What makes Sheldon's story even more tragic is his relationship with Amy Farrah Fowler. Throughout the Big Bang Theory, Amy is the only person who can truly understand Sheldon's quirks and connect with him emotionally. And yet, even Amy struggles to break down Sheldon's emotional barriers. But here's the thing. Amy's patience and kindness are exactly what Sheldon needed as a child, even though he didn't know it. It wasn't until his adult years that Sheldon was able to let down his guard with Amy, years after the trauma and isolation of his childhood had solidified his emotional walls. The big reveal, a painful truth about Sheldon's past. So what does this all mean? It means that Sheldon's seemingly cold and callous behavior wasn't something he chose. It was a survival mechanism developed out of years of emotional neglect and rejection. And that, in itself, is deeply tragic. As young Sheldon continues to delve deeper into Sheldon's formative years, we're seeing that the character we've grown to love on The Big Bang Theory didn't just wake up one day as an emotionally distant genius. His struggles were hard-fought and heartbreaking, And in a sense, his worst quality is also his most human one. Why we can't hate Sheldon anymore. The revelation of Sheldon's backstory in Young Sheldon may make you view him in an entirely new light. You might even find yourself forgiving him for all the times he's driven you crazy with his lack of empathy or his socially awkward antics. After all, when you understand the deep-rooted trauma behind his behavior, it's hard not to feel a little compassion for him. So next time Sheldon does something that makes you want to roll your eyes or scream at the TV, just remember, there's a sad justification behind his actions that makes him more human than we ever realized. You won't see Sheldon the same way again after you've learned this heartbreaking truth. What was once a flaw now feels like a sad, painful part of his complex character. And maybe, just maybe, you'll begin to understand why Sheldon Cooper is one of the most unique and, yes, lovable characters in television history. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.